You are welcome to Point Blank Talk Show here in Lagos, Nigeria. Today we'll be discussing topics ranging from Badagry, Nigeria, and around the world. To start with this evening, we are looking at the recent protests that happened in Badagry West LCDA, where some youth came out to express their displeasure over the indiscriminate dredging of Badagry waterways. And this is becoming a recurrent topic. Days after days, there was a time some time ago, the AYCN of Badagry West, they went to the place that they were dredging very close to Badagry Bridge. They protested, there was no any response. Apart from that, several organizations or NGOs has come up that this dredging is affecting the ecosystem of Badagry. Apart from that, the youth were saying that Badagrans are known to be fishermen. This dredging is sending the PGs away. What's your take about it? Don't you think this dredging thing will have more adverse effect on Badagry?
Thank you very much. Dredging is something that we need to look into properly.
Okay.
I think there are some, selfish people who are behind this dredging of a thing. I can still recall during the era of Governor Babatunde Fashola. Yes, there were several times that he would stop this menace to the society.
Okay.
He would send down people in the task force who will come and make arrests and deal with a lot of people back then. But currently it's as if, of course, most of them are equally operating illegally, and it is not with the consent of the state government. But we need to make some awareness for the state government to be aware of their, they are very selfish because of their own interest. They are trying to sabotage the economy. The adverse effect of dredging in Badagry will be more than what they think they are making as a profit. Because one, you think about the current protests that were organized some days ago by protesters in Badagry, they were actually clamoring that look, they are dredging very close to Badagry Bridge. This is not only a threat to Badagry, but an economic route for the whole of Nigeria.
Even this is an international way.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
International highway. So it's even an international threat.
It is an economic route, which is also an international economic route.
A West African
route, for that matter. And dredging that has been coming very close to that place can actually destroy that. They dredge a lot of sand from different places, and the more you dredge, the more deeper the water becomes. And the consequence is that one day you can just wake up and discover the bridge has sunk. And who is going to be responsible? The protesters are even talking about Badagry alone. No, this is no longer an issue of disconnecting Badagry from Benin as a state. But it's about disconnecting Nigeria itself from West Africa
region, countries as
exactly. So this is going to have an adverse effect on Nigeria itself, because you look at recently when custom were talking about making a lot of billions from borders. I think this recently when Nigerian custom was trying to talk about money made from borders.
It
was this. I think this border actually gave Nigeria one of the largest sum of revenue.
And even at some point, it was being said that they surpassed the target.
Exactly. Now, if there is going to be an economic sabotage, because that is what I would call those dredging activities in Badagry at the moment, it is an economic sabotage. And if it eventually destroys that Badagry Bridge, definitely Nigeria is going to be losing a lot of billions of naira, and the consequence. So I think it is in the interest of the state government and the federal government to immediately, because I even heard that the chairman of Badagry West had even stopped so many of these miners from engaging in those illegal activities over the years. But despite his, different appeals to these people, they have continued to engage in this activity, meaning that they know somebody who must have been more powerful than the chairman himself.
From as regard that, does that mean the chairman does not even have the authority over his territory anymore?
You are in Nigeria when I think police inspector, if I'm not mistaken, the police inspector, a particular rank in the Nigerian police disrespected our government when there was demolition in I think somewhere around Magodo.
Yes.
So a police officer disrespected our own governor. So you should understand that who is the chairman that people will not disrespect him. So it's just about economic sabotage. And the consequence of their actions is going to have an adverse effect not only on the immediate community but equally at the larger extent, the nation at large. Now, if you talk about fishermen, it's understandable that Badagry is a community where fishermen are actually doing their business successfully. But even fishing has even gone beyond the issue of going on water and fish.
Yeah.
People are equally making some other businesses
on water.
Yeah. Now the adverse effect of those dredging will actually affect every. Dredging can even destroy some. It's a forceful extraction of sand from water.
Yeah.
So and it's going to affect so many other things. So these activities should be restricted.
And even there is a particular NGO that was, talking about the eco effect of this dredging on the ecosystem, on the that is going to affect in terms of leading to flooding and every other thing.
Definitely, if dredging persists, first you are expanding the territory of the water. The more you continue to dredge beyond the normal level, the water keeps expanding, and in some times to come, if care is not taken, when sea level rises, definitely there will be flooding. The water is going to go beyond its limits. So definitely it can lead to that, because the more they are dredging, they are not even careful in their mode of dredging. They are only interested in their profit. So by implication, you just see them even places they are not supposed to dredge, they go there, they dredge, and by extension they are extending the water, the river, to even places rivers are not supposed to get to ordinarily. And in a case or situation of we don't even know the actual number of rainfalls we're expecting this year. So now in a situation, if we have too much of rainfall and water level increases, definitely it's going to affect so many communities in Nigeria. So we are appealing to the Lagos state government
and the federal government to do something.
Immediately stop these illegal miners who are extracting our sand from the illegal places. These miners should be stopped immediately.
All right, viewers, this is still Point Blank Talk Show. Today's talk show is proudly supported by Badagry Fastest Designer. Badagry Fastest Designer is coming up on July 1st, 2024. Our second topic for today is the portrait that was released, that was presented to the President of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on the Democracy Day, which was just past week. What do you think about the portrait in terms of his role in democracy and the personality that day has been known for, who is MKO Abiola? So what do you think? Do you think that portrait should have gone to Abiola or to Tinubu? And at the same time, looking at the individuals that had contributed to Nigeria democracy today, is he supposed to portray him as one of this portrait now is now being seen as one of the largest in the world? But is he supposed to portray the president on that day that was meant for?
You see, that issue is a little bit technical, because if we have to look at the sustainable democracy we currently enjoy in Nigeria, which is about 25 years now. The President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also one of the figures who has fight effortlessly for the continuous, support for this current democracy. But at the same time, it is equally important to know that we have had a lot of arguments that these days should have been, these portraits should have been more about MKO Abiola, who won election and
one of the most credible election in the history
and that Nigeria. Is why the former President Buhari have to shift the Democracy Day from May 29 to June 12 in honor and commemoration of the MKO Abiola. But we just have to look at it this way. I think making such a giant portrait in honor of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not a bad idea if at the same time there is another bigger one to honor MKO Abiola. Of course, people will argue that there is another one in Lagos to honor MKO Abiola, but the one in Lagos actually was done by Lagos state government, and the holiday will have been declared over years in Lagos state just in honor of MKO. But now it's a thing of national. I think the federal government is supposed, of course, we understand that this portrait is not being done by the federal government. But even those who are behind it, they should have tried to at least make a bigger portrait for MKO Abiola in commemoration of his. The day is about him. That June 12th is about MKO. Even everybody in Nigeria will understand that today is about MKO. He was the icon behind the sustainable democracy we have started enjoying since 1999. Of course, we know that several people were jailed, the likes of the likes of Shehu Sani, Femi Falana. Many of them were they were persecuted in the process. Even President Bola Tinubu himself, the likes of Wole Soyinka and some other people, they were tried in the process of those struggles. But it is not, it shouldn't be about the president alone. Of course, that image is a welcome idea, but I think that it will have been more better if another one is made at the national level just to honor MKO himself. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is someone who Nigerians needs to study a lot because he has been very, very active in the current democracy we enjoy in Nigeria. And whether people like him or not, we cannot take it from him. He has a lot of brain.
It's part of the history of the nation.
Exactly. So you cannot dispute that. So it should have just been
still on Nigeria discussion. Yes, a loan that was released recently from the World Bank to Nigeria, and from what I saw about the loan, it was said to be the large part of it is going for rural development and roads and development of less developed places in the nation. And we have seen what debt, we have seen what loan Nigerian government gets so far, the way they've been used, some being siphoned and the likes. But what's your take about this? And at the same time, don't you think going for loan every time in terms of anything we want to do in the nation, don't you think it will further affect the currency value?
You see, one thing is this. We shouldn't be having double standard when it comes to the issue of public concern. The issue of loan is of course, people will still argue that even the US is indebted. The US is
one of the most indebted countries.
Yes, but then if you look at the infrastructure in the US and the US economy itself is sufficient enough to handle any kind of loan. California's loan is richer than the whole of Africa put together. That's just a state in the US. So if we are now talking, people are now talking that the US is on loan, I find it not too interesting. Of course, we are not saying Nigeria should not equally go for loan, but if the loans are judiciously used for the initial or intended purpose of which it was obtained,
nobody will be raising eyebrows.
Okay, now these loans most often we have seen over the years how it is being used,
Mhm.
and it is not in the best interest. It has not, most of them have not gone through the right places. We hope if this loan is going to, undergo the right process for it to be utilized. If the loan is utilized properly, then we will be talking about development. But if this money gets to different ministries, and at the end of the day we still have issues where we have the Badagry case, then Nigeria is still going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
But loans, I don't think Nigerian government should be looking at loan as a means of survival all the time. Nigerian government should look at more proactive means to generate money internally than always going for loan.
Looking at,
they should expand revenue level, rather than always going for loan. Loan is not going to be in the best interest, especially looking at the current economy. The economy is not speaking to the favor of Nigerians. The economy is bad, and
looking at World Bank conditions of getting loan in terms of paying back, and don't you think it will lead to further devaluation of naira?
Of course, we have seen that over the years, and that is what has brought Nigeria to the current state where it is. But then, Nigerians should rather be, thinking about how to pay back loans. A debtor is always a debtor, regardless of how much you try to paint a debtor. So, a 5 naira in your own hand, that is your own money. You are more at peace than someone who is on loan of 1,000 naira. Debtors will still be looking for him, and there are conditions to debts. So loans attract conditions, and definitely you should understand the former administration said they are using about 90-something% of the internally generated revenue to service loans. Are we now saying that with the current persistent loan, Nigeria won't be using more than 100% of its IGR to service debt? So these are issues that should raise concerns to Nigerians, and we should be careful about going for more loans. The president needs to, look inward, and we should also be thinking about, there is this issue of trying to go into regional governments. I think that's a very good one. If we can actually go into regional structure once again, then each region should start looking for money to develop.
It will lead to economic development.
Yes, it will lead to economic development and competition between regions. And actually, it is going to be, let's say, I may not say eliminate corruption, but it's going to reduce corruption, because each region will be more interested in how they use their loan. Even that is when you have to go for loan. So I think currently, probably because Nigeria does not have much option available, that is why the president is still going for loan.
And from what the loan is coming up now, and at the same time there is a request that the president will get another airplane and the vice president. Don't you think this, raising this point at the same time, there will be a need to even take some part of this loan to get a plane for? Is this are those strategic ideas?
What I think is that those who are agitating currently that the president should go for, they should buy a new presidential jet for the president and the vice president. What I think is that they are looking for cheap popularity, because the president is not complaining, and for the president to, Nigeria to have sold presidential jets earlier, and somebody is now raising issue that they should get new ones. I think since the president is not complaining, then who should be complaining?
And meanwhile, the president just got a yacht of billions of naira, not quite long, which I don't think, we've never seen any news that said the president is on the yacht. Definitely it has not been used, and that money is
of course. So if a yacht of about, I think, 5 billion was recently acquired, and we are still talking about going for presidential jets, on which economy? Where is the surviving strength for Nigeria to afford those jets? If the president travels out of the country with those private jets, with this tiny economy, then how are we going to be paying?
And these jets are being maintained in with handsome amount
Of course,
money.
huge amount of money. That is what we are saying. So it is not in the best interest of Nigeria. Nigeria should not support such an idea. Since especially the president is not complaining about getting a new jet, I think we should move on. Let us use money into key infrastructural areas that can promote economic development in Nigeria, rather than looking for necessary things that does not promote the economic interest of Nigeria. Acquiring a jet currently will only lead to more expenditure rather than generating revenue.
Yeah.
Especially because it's not going to be for business.
Because what I think about loan, because Nigeria most times I don't know. Previous loans have gone through how it's being spent. I look at some projects that are being carried out are not even generating any money at all. So I think when you are getting a loan, I think it's for get a business that will generate more money to pay back and get your profits too.
Yes, we must equally be conscious that loans sometimes you get them to promote infrastructural development.
Exactly.
That those infrastructures they may not
give directly
profits to profit,
but the economy
is going to attract investors that come and invest in areas.
Even boost the economy of the state.
At the end of the day, it's going to boost the economy of the state.
Yeah, in terms of road network, in terms of electricity. These are the things that loans should be used for. So, we hope that this current administration, there's still time for the government to do the proper things. So we hope that
there should be priorities. Loans should be used for the purpose for which it is intended to use. It shouldn't be used unnecessarily. I think Nigeria just needs to do more better than just going for loan because we state different purpose for which we want to acquire a loan, and at the end of the day we use those loans for another purpose, or it is embezzled at the end of the day.
All right, thank you for being with us today. On the last topic for today, in terms of international discussion, we are looking at Israeli-Palestinian crisis, which has been ongoing for some time now. The US has come up with an agreement where the Israelis
both parties
come to an agreement, and there is peace, relative peace in the Middle East. What's your take on this agreement as regards the need to free some people that have been in captivity on Palestinian side and those that are in prison on Israel side? What's your take as regards that? Do you think that will bring this war to an end?
Well, I think at the moment, the US ceasefire agreement has received maximum support from the US Security Council members. If you look at it, out of the 15 members, both permanent and non-permanent UN Security Council members, 14 of them supported the ceasefire agreement that was proposed by the US. And if you look at those 14, it is only Russia who rather choose not to veto but to abstain from such. And for 14 members to come up and support a particular ceasefire agreement, it shows the concern of the UN Security Council to resolve the crisis ongoing between Israeli and Palestinians. So you look at it, the agreement comes in three phases. The first phase is about trying to go on 6-week negotiation between Israeli and Palestinians. So, and after that, the second phase will now come about prisoner exchange, and the captives held in Gaza should be released in exchange for the Palestinian prisoners in Israel. Part of the second phase too is going to be about return to status quo, where Israeli occupation forces, because there have been concern and fear in Palestine that the current places that Israeli has occupied, that they may not likely return to Palestinians. So, but then the ceasefire agreement is now saying that Israeli forces is going to withdraw themselves from those current occupied territories, and the third phase is now going to be about trying to normalize the relationship, and the tension should cease. So And I think it's a good one for that region if truly it can go to that extent. But the problem has been that even after that agreement has been suggested, I think since on May 1,
till now,
there has been continuous bombing. Israel has continued to bomb Rafah, and it has led to issues and even concern where people has asked, the U.S. President Joe Biden that, look, are you sure that this current ceasefire agreement is going to lead to a lasting solution or even a current ceasefire? And the U.S. President was like, no, he does not think, but he is hopeful that there is going to be
something better
prospect in the future.
Come out.
So, and that prospect is all we all hope to see. We hope that Israel will stop.
Nobody is certain of what will be the outcome.
Yes, but we hope that Israel is going to stop those bombing. Even Hamas has shown interest that they will definitely embrace the ceasefire agreement. So at least we should be seeing seriousness from their parts.
From both
they
parties.
should start releasing at least, even if it is 1, 2, or 3 of those captives
or prisoners,
to show their readiness to Israel.
Yeah.
So, and the US will equally pressurize Israel. I think it is only the US who can actually pressurize Israel to
comply to this
agreement. Yes.
And at the same time, we see in terms of still looking at the ranging wars that are going around the world. Still look at the Russia-Ukraine war is still ongoing, but recently there have been challenges of funding. Ukraine is not getting the expected funding, and at the same time, Russia is not ready to back down on the war. So this recent talk that there is need for Europe to come to an agreement and use some of the Russian frozen assets in Europe to fund the Ukraine war, so on the side of the Ukraine. And I think some agreement has been reached and to release some fund for Ukraine. Don't you think going on this direction, do you think that's the solution in terms of addressing this war? Because this war has been going longer, more than expected. Me, I was expecting that they should look at a way to, just as US has done, to bring peace between these countries. But at the same, instead of Europe going to that direction, going on the other direction in terms of funding it, for it to continue.
Well, in international relations, appeasement have never been the best solution to war. It has never led to an end of any war.
Yeah.
So appeasement has always
not until the parties get tired.
Yes, appeasement has never been the solution to war. And if we look at it from that angle, we must understand from the point of view of the European Union and even the US for coming up with an idea that, look, Russian frozen assets in Europe should be used to fund the Ukraine war. And I think one of those places that Russia have about $300 billion assets in Europe.
Yeah.
So, and Belgium has raised concern that, look, Russia may want to prosecute case against the European Union in International Criminal Court, and this is definitely going to be against them. Should in case they win over there, then who is going to pay back?
As regard Belgium, having the larger part of the assets.
Yeah, so who is going to pay back those loans if Russia should pursue such a case? Then it's going to be a burden to those states that have released those assets to prosecution of Ukraine war. So, but currently they have reached an agreement, and I think it's a win-win for the European Union and the United States, where conclusions have been made that there should be a 50 billion loan to release to Ukraine from profits that have been made from those
not outrightly selling out
frozen assets.
The assets.
No, but profits from those frozen assets, about $50 billion dollar should be released to Ukraine, and I think that's a good one, because as far as I am concerned, appeasement is not an option. If you look at history, as tells us that anytime you appease people, it's not going to be in the best interest.
It will not bring a lasting solution
at all. Adolf Hitler was appeased before the World War II, and if you look at it, once they appease him, he gets more strength to invade more territory.
Not until he was totally.
Yes. So Russia in this case does not know when to stop, and Russia does not want to respect the international sovereignty of Ukraine. Russia has continued to see Ukraine as still part of the old Soviet Union, and does not see a border between the two states. And in a situation of this, there should be a clear demarcation. The people of Ukraine have a right to their own freedom. And they have a right to decide which way they want to go. So Russia should not be dictating for those Eastern European states like they are a subject of Russia. So I think the preferred solution is a very good one. Appealing to our supporters and our viewers to please like and subscribe to our show. This is going to be a motivating factor for us and for you to even get subsequent notification. So try and subscribe.
This is still Point Blank Talk Show. We are coming right from News Peddlers.